Chapter 9: Surprises and Questions. Finding Link's house was no problem. He lived in Jimmy Carson's old house, and I had been there plenty of times. I had all the stuff for the project in my book bag. I went up the front steps and rang the doorbell. I heard a sound from above, like shh. I looked up just in time to see a fat red water balloon, and above the balloon Link's head, sticking out of a window on the second floor. The balloon went splat on the steps next to me. Only my shoes got wet. Link laughed and yelled, "Surprise!" Then he said, "Come on in, Flake, door's open." My heart was pounding and I almost turned around and ran for home. But I didn't. If Link had wanted to put that balloon right on my head, he could have. So that was progress, right? Or was he really trying to sock me and he just missed? Anyway, I went inside. Link's mom was in the front hallway looking through a stack of mail. She must have just gotten home because her coat was still on. She smiled and said, "Hi, you must be Jake. Link said you were coming over to work on a project. If you get hungry later, you can have a snack." I said, "Thank you." Link yelled from the top of the stairs, "Hey, up here and bring all your stuff." Link's room was a surprise. I guess I thought it would be like a cave or jail cell or something. It was just a regular room. There were a lot of comic books around and there were models on all the shelves. Lots of them. Model cars and trucks and motorcycles. Model ships and airplanes. Even a model train. I picked up a model of a car. "Hey, hands off, Flake!" I put the car down, but I bent over to get a better look. It was perfect. It was only a plastic model like the kind at a hobby shop. It had been glued together and then painted bright blue perfectly. I looked at Link. He had flopped onto his bed. He was looking at an X-Men comic book. I said, "This is cool. Where'd you get it?" "My dad gave me the kit. It's a 1969 Ford Mustang convertible." I said, "You mean you put it together?" "Yeah," said Link. He didn't take his eyes off the comic book. "I painted it too." I could imagine Link having a hobby like collecting wrestling cards, or catching bugs and spiders, or maybe glass bottles against a brick wall. But model building? Link? A girl wearing sweatpants and a green t-shirt came into Link's room. She was tall with big shoulders and arms, probably in high school. She had about 6 earrings in each ear, and her hair was brown with a bright pink streak in the front, and she was mad. She didn't notice me. Real loud she said, "Hey, stink!" Link looked up from his comic book. "What?" "You know what? You took $1 off my dresser this morning." "Did not." She picked up the Mustang model I had been looking at. She held it out and started to close her big hand around it. Link sat up and yelled, "Hey, leave that alone." She smiled and her smile looked very familiar to me. Then she said, "Here, catch." And she tossed the model at Link. Link caught it before it hit the bed. The girl said, "I know you took that $1. Link said, "You probably spent all your money on lipstick or something dumb, and you're so stupid you probably don't even remember." She took 2 steps into the room. "Yeah, well, see if you can remember this, stink. If I ever find you in my room, you are dead." Then she looked at me, "And that goes for your twerpy little friends too." Then she left. A few seconds later, a door slammed hard. Link grinned at me and reached over and put the model on the table by his bed. "That's my demented sister." I got out the book that had some pictures of a Native American village. I was ready to finish this project and go home. Giant girl super bullies are not my idea of fun, I said. "Let's get this done, okay?" Link heaved a bored sigh. "Yeah, okay. I've got some stuff we can use." He rolled off the bed and walked to a table near the window. There was a big box. It was the kind of box you get new clothes in at Christmas. He pulled off the lid. "We can make something on the inside of this lid." I said, "Okay." But I was looking at the things in the box. There were some brown paper bags and some sticks and twigs. There were some plastic bags full of sand and some pieces of dried moss. There were bunches of long green pine needles, and there was some string and some glue. There was also a page that Link must have ripped out of a National Geographic magazine. It showed a painting of a Wampanoag village, complete with wigwams and a longhouse. He had actually done some research. Link said, "I got most of this junk from my backyard." "Oh?" I said. "So, your idea is to make a model village and to make it look real?" He looked at me. "Duh! Good thinking, Flake." I picked up one of the longer sticks. "This could be one of the wigwam poles." Link shook his head. "Too thick. I got these skinny sticks for that. If they're not skinny, it won't look right." For the next hour, I watched Link work. I tried to help, but I just got in the way. First, Link bent 7 or 8 skinny sticks to make a wigwam frame. He tied the sticks together with part of an old shoelace. Then he cut open a big brown bag with scissors. He ripped the brown paper into ragged pieces. He painted little lines all over them. They looked like tree bark. Then he glued the paper onto the wigwam frame. I showed Link one of the books I brought. He rubbed some black marker onto a paper towel. Then he rubbed that onto the brown paper to make the wigwam look old. Then he glued the whole thing in the box lid. Then he spread some sand and moss around. He used big stones to look like rocks. He made a little fireplace outside the wigwam with a ring of pebbles. And he used wood and crumpled foil and a red marker to make the fire look real. He made trees and bushes out of the pine needles, and then he made another smaller wigwam, and then he made a longhouse. It was amazing. It looked like a little village. It looked so good. Link put down the glue bottle and stepped back a few feet. I said, "It's really great." Link shrugged. "It's okay." I put my things back in my book bag and pulled on my coat. "So you'll bring it to school tomorrow?" Link snorted. "You think I'm going to let you carry it and trip and fall all over the place like a doofus?" "I'll bring it." I said, "Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow?" Link flopped back onto his bed and picked up another comic book. "Yeah, so long, Flake." Then he said, "Hey, don't forget, Flake. You better do a good job giving this report." But by then, I was halfway down the hall. I tiptoed past his big sister's room and went downstairs. I opened the door, stuck my head out, and looked up. No Link, no water balloons. So I scooted across the steps and headed for home. I had some stuff I needed to think about. I had seen a lot at Link's house. Like his big sister. What would it be like to live in the same house with that your whole life? And his mom, she seemed nice. And then there was Link. Sure, he water-bombed me and he ignored me a lot, and he called me a doofus. But he didn't seem like a super bully, at least not all the time. Once in a while he was just like a kid. And he was absolutely a great model builder. I had looked at Link's face while he was thinking about the model, and while he was painting and gluing. When he forgot I was there, he had a different face from his bully face, not mean, almost nice. But when Link remembered I was there, his face would switch back. So if there's no one to bully, a bully isn't a bully, right? I couldn't make myself disappear, but could I make a super bully disappear? That was the question I still could not answer.